Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration.
Remember those stories you were supposed to read in high school?
Dickens.
Poe.
That's literally all the names I can think of.
Did you read them?
Obviously I didn't.
Let us read them for you.
That sounds dangerous.
What does?
Reading?
It might go badly.
But that's half the fun.
I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Check out Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Campfire Classics is available wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen, like, follow.
The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. It's going to be a shorter one this week, just kind of the last minute. Things have been a little crazy in the real world. I haven't really had time to sit down and focus my thoughts enough. I mean, granted, I may be hard to believe that my thoughts are ever focused when I'm doing this stuff in the first place, but believe it or not, I really usually do try and put some work and some thought into these things, and things have been a little crazy in the real world. But I do still have some things that I wanted to briefly touch on here, and the long and the short of it is I'm not touching anything political this week, even though there's plenty I could be bitching about in that ballpark. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But I did do something I promised myself I wasn't going to do, and I knew this was going to be the end result, and it's going to happen, and I'm pissed off at myself for putting myself into this situation in the first place. And I started watching Reels on Instagram. Now, for those of you who don't know, Reels are these short, like 30-second clips. They're kind of like TikToks. It's the Instagram knockoff version of TikTok, but I'm not installing another app on my phone to watch TikTok crap because frankly, I thought it was stupid when people started talking about it in the first place. My opinion has not changed any now that I fell down a rabbit hole of watching Reels on Instagram. I got warned. People I know that watch them on the regular were like, dude, it's a rabbit hole. You'll start out watching a video of some dog, and next thing you know, you're swiping through videos for an hour. And they're not wrong. And I'm kind of disgusted with myself that I bought in. I did it too. I don't know what it is, where the psychological triggers are that are making it. It's an addictive thing to do. It's all these stupid-ass videos. And it is literally everything I've ever complained about TikTok videos and every other little snippet video thing that people are doing, these trends. It is literally exactly what I said it was going to be. It's a bunch of fucking people trying to do the same thing as everybody else. It's a million different people doing the same dance to the same song clip over and over and over again. And every once in a while you'll catch one that's just really terrible or really just off the mark, or they deliberately screw it up and it makes it funny. And those are great. When there's some sort of unexpected twist that comes through, I think that's really what people watch these things for. So they, in case there is a chance they're going to catch that unexpected surprise that, oh, well, that's not the same as everybody else's. There's the twist. But by and wide, it's a bunch of the same shit over and over again. And all these people like me, follow me, click the heart, do this, do that. Please approve of me. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm special for being just like everybody else. And it's like, oh my fucking God. And there's the obligatory, all these physically attractive individuals who don't actually display any real talent other than being physically attractive. They do the same thing. It's the same shtick from every single one of them. And I'm not trying to dump on anybody. And the dancing videos are one thing, but when your version of a dance is to put on a super skimpy outfit and wiggle your arms back and forth and shake your ass with, literally there's nothing that it actually is dancing. It's just having your ass hanging out and kind of jiggling your arms a little bit so you can call it a TikTok dance. I mean, I'm sorry. I like looking at attractive people as much as the next person. But at the same time, don't try and act like you got some sort of talent. If your talent is having your ass hanging out, well, you don't have to be particularly talented for that one, do you? I don't knock a woman who wants to get dressed up and do makeup and look pretty and do all these things. And there's a lot of cool like makeup videos and transition shots and all this other stuff. And there really is some stuff on there that's interesting to a certain like real superficial, non-thought-provoking kind of way. There's some cool stuff to see. And like I said, there are some pleasantly surprising twists and funny things. And a metric assload of cute pets, which is like my big weakness. And you might see me in the street. You're not going to think I'm the kind of person that's going to see a puppy and be like, oh my God, look at the puppy, look at the puppy, look at the puppy. But I totally am. And I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm perfectly grounded in my definition of self where I don't mind squeeing over a puppy. It's going to happen. Little kittens just make me go all squishy. And so anytime there's an animal one, I'm like, oh my God, I love it. And yeah, so I'm kind of simple in that respect. But ultimately, we've got all these people doing the same dance over and over again. And then it's one thing when it's an adult doing something that's kind of risque or provocative. And I don't shame anybody for wanting to do these things and things that make them feel sexy and things that make them feel pretty or whatever. Whatever the case may be, guys can do it, girls can do it. I've actually seen some really funny videos that were like, and it's not because they were, I'm not laughing at them because they were drag queens, but it was drag queens doing some really funny shit, like very tongue-in-cheek stuff, like, hey, guess what? Yeah, I'm a dude, and you were checking me out, and good on them. I think that shit's hilarious. I'm all for people being comfortable in their skin and being happy with who they are. I think that's wonderful. At the same time, you get kind of freaking ambushed because, like, I'll be sitting here swiping through these things, and all of a sudden there's some friggin' 12-year-old twerking to a Cardi B song, and it's like, what in the fuck? Where are your parents? Why are you being allowed to get away with this shit? And there's even worse ones where like the parents are involved, and it's like, what in the fucking shit is wrong with you people? This is your child. You should not be allowing your child to do this ridiculously sexualized shit. It's not empowering. It's not in any way, shape, or form appropriate. I happen to believe that as a society and as a culture and as a planet, we are, in general, in this country, way too fucking uptight. Way too many things are taboo and made to be problems that shouldn't be. And there are things that people feel guilty about that they shouldn't. And if you are an adult and you are mentally and physically developed to adulthood, I say embrace it. Let your freak flag fly. Do your thing. If you are a prepubescent child, you've got no fucking business shaking your ass to fucking WAP or any of that other bullshit. And if you are a parent and you know your kid's making these videos, I hate to say this because I don't want to see bad things happen to anybody, but don't be surprised if your kid gets fucking snatched up. That's why these things happen, because the creepy, scummy, dirtbag elements out there have access to this shit. And a lot of these people don't take any precautions. The shit can be backtraced and found. And it's been proven over and over again. It is just fucking irresponsible of the parents to be allowing the kids to do this shit. And so, yeah, I watched these reels for a couple of days, and I fell down the rabbit hole. And I got pissed off because 12-year-old wannabe hoochies is not something that I want to see. And whatever logarithms randomly interject those things in when you're just randomly scrolling through stuff, it's kind of fucked up. And so, realistically, why aren't we holding the software people to task for this shit? Why are they making it so easy, and why are they just making it where these things get inserted into suggested stuff? I've never once been like, oh, here, let me click on a video of a 12-year-old girl because I like it. No. It's always like out of left field, like, oh, puppy, oh, kitten, oh, shit, 12-year-old dancing like a whore. And it's fucking irresponsible, and just, I have such a problem with this, and that's why I avoided doing this shit for so long, because I knew this kind of stuff was going to happen, and I was going to get pissed off. And then on top of that, you got all these other just like ridiculously toxic shit that is going on in these things, and it's being amplified because people are seeing it and it's trending and it's getting likes, and other people are going, hey, I can do that, let me jump on board with that. And I've seen so many stupid fucking trends that it just burns my ass. I see all these video clips set to songs, and oddly enough, you got a whole bunch of Gen Z people who are recently trying to cancel Eminem, cutting their TikToks and their reel clips to an Eminem sample. So guess what, you fucking twits? But you've got people setting up, oh, well, all these guys want to date me until they find out. And then it lists off a whole bunch of shit that it's like, well, yeah, no wonder they find out all these things about you and don't want to date you. It's not that you are so goddamn charming and wonderful that all your shitty faults are going to somehow be wiped out. And who the fuck said all these people want to date you? Are you really that hung up on yourself? You're that impressed with yourself that you think there's a line of motherfuckers waiting to get your attention? Now, granted, there are a lot of motherfuckers that are out there trying to be desperate and thirsty and throw out as wide of a net as they can just to see what they catch. But don't flatter yourself, honey. And I'm saying honey in regards to women, men, non-binary, whatever the fuck you want to identify as. Don't go walking around thinking you're so fucking fantastic that the world's waiting on your attention, because they're really not. And then you got another category of fucking pathetic, which is there are so many like bullshit celebrity accounts that are set up with a slight misspelling in the name and clips of celebrities over and over again, or like so-and-so fan account, please follow, follow, like, click here for more great clips of so-and-so. And it's the same bullshit clips that every other pathetic fan account is running. There's nothing new or original. And in those cases, if something new or original did come onto the grid, we should all be very nervous, because that means it's probably some sick bastard that's sitting in the bushes outside of said celebrity's house with a hand cam and a pair of binoculars and possibly duct tape and worse. So realistically, it drives me nuts. It's fucking pathetic. And then we've got people my age, people that should know better, fucking middle-aged people in their late 30s, early 40s, trying to act like they're still fucking 19. And again, I don't mean to generalize, but I've noticed a lot of this stuff is like, oh yeah, people want to say that I'm doing this, but I'm strong and I'm secure. Well, no, actually, you come off kind of douchey, because I mean, it's cool if you want to do some original content or something that's educational or promoting or just feeling good about yourself. That's all well and good. But if you're 45 fucking years old and not a well-maintained 45, if you look like you've been sitting on the couch eating fucking ding-dongs like I do for the last fucking 10 years, you really got no business putting on a pair of yoga pants and trying to do something where you're kicking over your head. I mean, if you can pull it off and you're flexible, that's fine. But if you just come off looking like a jackass, I mean, I guess my whole point is people need to be conscious of how they come off, how they look. Not physically how they look, but the image they are conveying as to whether or not it's just fucking stupid or sad. We used to have standards. We used to say, gee, there's such a thing as bad attention. Nowadays, it's any attention is good attention, and people don't seem to get the difference. And they're so thirsty and so starved for approval and all this just like, oh, please validate me, make me feel better about myself. And I don't get the fucking mentality. And I've actually had this in a conversation with somebody, and they said, well, don't you do a podcast? And it's like, yeah, but I do a podcast more for therapeutic value than anything else. I do it so I can get on here and rant and get this shit off my chest, so I don't blow up when I come across some dumb motherfucker in the grocery store doing dumb motherfucker shit. And it's not like it doesn't happen. I have walked up on kids shooting TikTok reels in the fucking grocery store doing dumb shit. I don't know what. I never saw a video of this particular trend. I saw a kid that was in the grocery store over the weekend stacking gallons of milk, just taking them out of the cooler and stacking them up into a pyramid while his idiot friend filmed it. I stood there and watched. I was waiting for somebody to come from the store and tell him to knock it off and put the shit back, but of course that didn't happen. On the other hand, if I was getting paid minimum wage, I wouldn't probably want to go deal with that shit either. But conversely, if I was the guy who was going to have to clean it up when they decided to be a human bowling ball and knock all that shit over for laughs, because I come from that generation. I grew up with the jackass guys. That's the shit I think is going to happen. Not, oh, I'm going to build a pyramid of milk cartons and then lay down in front of it and plank. What in the actual fuck was this kid doing? And then they just kind of skedaddled, because I'm not going to lie. I stood there and waited to see what was going to happen. I wanted to know. Because if they knocked all that shit over and tore the place up, I was going to stop them from getting away, because fuck that. Accountability needs to come back into the world. And if some poor bastard shouldn't have to clean up after your stupidity and your fame grab. I mean, fuck you. So anyway, I guess my whole point of this little rant is Yeah, I watched the videos. Understand they are a rabbit hole. I can kind of see the appeal in some way, but at the same time, I'm kind of disappointed in myself for doing. I mean, it could be worse. There is some entertaining content on there, but ultimately, and I know I'm going to go back to the well. I know I am. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to see anything on there that'll actually be funny. And like I said, there are some, some cool little videos, like some of the makeup and the cosplay transition things from like, oh, here's me with no makeup on and completely looking normal. Boom, I look like an actual living anime. Fantastic. That's kind of awesome. That's a lot of dedication. That's a neat way to show off stuff since cons and all the other stuff are on hold for as long as the foreseeable future is. And I think it's really cool that people that are creative, and there's musicians that are putting out little songs, and I've seen a lot of cool people that are like shredding on guitar and doing things, bass players, trombone players, saxophone players, lots of different musicians playing little bits of songs, playing solos in songs that don't have them, and just all kinds of random cool shit where they're actually doing something. But for every one cool video I've found that's something original and something creative and something fun, there's 15 videos of somebody shaking their ass to some stupid-ass song that realistically I can't stand. And maybe I'm old, maybe I'm cranky, maybe I'm bitter. It's not the kind of thing where I feel like it's a good use of my time. And that's just kind of how I feel about that. So that's my 2 pennies on the little 30-second video trend that is definitely not going anywhere because a lot of people watch it. A lot of these videos have tens of thousands of likes, up to some of them are up to millions. I mean, it's ridiculous. But so it's not going anywhere. I guess I'm old and I don't want to embrace the future or whatever, but that's just kind of where it is, and that's where we're at. And so I'm going to take a little pause for a minute here, quick break, and we will come back, and I have a few kind of announcements, comments, however you want to look at it.
Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so thanks for bearing with me on that one. So, yeah, the other thing, kind of a new development, and this is going to turn into kind of a shameless plug scenario here, too. I recently did a spot on the Bub and Gob show that'll be coming out shortly, I think, this week, next week. I'm not sure how their recording schedule ties into the publishing schedule. I should have probably asked. But since my show will be coming out today, and I want to tell people because I'm excited, I have officially joined the Rooster Media Network. It's a bunch of different podcast shows, Bub and Gob Show, Dad's on Dayquil, Scotch and Sports, Liberated Ladies, myself. They've got some more people in the works. They're growing the brand. It's a bunch of really good shows. I am flattered and honored to have been invited to join it. Hopefully there'll be more guest spots coming out of this, people networking, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the guest spots because I plan on having a lot more guests. I've met a lot of really cool people doing this, and I plan on incorporating that into this show. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, silence is consent, because if you don't like the idea, if you don't like the episodes where people are on here that it's me and them talking, and you don't let me know, it's going to keep happening. So it's kind of balls in your court. If you like the show, and if you value my opinions at all, if you're listening to this show and you've listened more than once, you must at least have half a damn in what I say. So I really recommend those shows, not just because I'm joining the network with them, but those are all podcasts I already listen to myself. They're all programs I follow every week. I listen to them. They're not the only ones I listen to. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I kind of went down the rabbit hole on that one myself, where it was like, okay, I'm going to get into this a little bit. I'm going to check it out, and kind of got dragged into the deep end where I listen to 4 or 5 a day minimum. Now, I'm not saying everybody should be doing that, but there's a lot of amazing content out there. There's a lot of people that are really passionate about what they do. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time and invest a lot of effort and, in some cases, a lot of money trying to make a quality program, trying to deliver a remarkable product, trying to do something that's fantastic. I really think these are things that's a good thing that came out of the whole last shit show of a year, is there's a ton of new shows out there. There's a ton of people that started these things during the pandemic. There is the guys from the Dumbfound Dead podcast, which is a great program, guys I listen to every week. There is the Infectious Grooves podcast, which is a music podcast out of Detroit. And there are my recent guests, the ladies from Taboo's podcast. There is You Should Have Ghosted, another show that I listen to on a regular basis. There is Malice True Crime Pod. There is Reverie True Crime Pod. There is A Few Bad Apples, the True Crime Pod. There are tons of true crime programs. If you're into that shit, there is plenty out there. Another great one is The Jury Room. The host, Kevin, great guy, treats everything with very well-researched, very respectful of the victims. Great program. There's Let's Start a Cult. I'm not going to make this into a gigantic half-hour session. There is a huge list of recommendations on the website. If you go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, click on the podcast page, and there is a bunch of links to independent shows I think you should be listening to. I know I've shouted out all these programs before. I've name dropped a lot of shows on social media. I'm constantly plugging other programs because it's not like I feel any kind of obligation. It's not some sort of tit for tat thing, because frankly, I don't give a damn if anybody plugs my show. That's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm doing it for. I do this for me, and if you guys enjoy it, great. That's fantastic. That makes me happy. Let me know you're enjoying it. Leave a review, leave a comment, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, shoot me a tweet, send me a message on Instagram. I have an Instagram profile. I don't post a ton of stuff on there, but you can take a look at the setup where I do my recording and all the awesome stickers I've gotten from a bunch of different shows and people that have mailed me stickers, and you can see my nifty collection of independent podcast mugs. I happen to love coffee mugs. I drink a metric ass load of coffee. And as I am able, I pick up a couple mugs here and there every time one of the different merchandise shops has a sale. I'm going to scoop up 2 or 3 mugs at least. And, and it's not just like random people selected. These are shows I like. These are people I endorse with my own personal experience. They get time out of my day where I listen to them. And I think you should too. It's not that I gain anything by saying this. It's more just like I want to share the things I enjoy with other people. And that's what I'm doing. So if you hear me plugging something, if you hear me endorsing something, if you hear me telling you to check something out, if I tell you about a show or a story or a book or a musician or a podcast or anything where it's a recommendation, it's not like I'm being compensated. It's not like anybody's asking me to do this. I'm doing it purely because I want to share something I enjoy with other people. And for what it's worth, that's sort of the whole thing I wanted to touch on in this little second half here is, so basically, yeah, the angry rants are going to keep coming through because I'm still going to be a big angry guy. The endorsements for other things I think you should check out are still going to be coming through. I'm still going to be telling stories. I'm still going to be sharing my experiences and my opinions and my thoughts. And I'm going to be bringing other people on to do the same thing. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of these people out of my new media network on the show pretty soon. Obviously, we've all got scheduling and things we got to figure out and work around. But if any of you guys happen to hear this and you want to schedule something, shoot me a message. Get at me, as the youngins would say. There is going to be some other stuff coming on. I'm actually in the process of booking a whole bunch of guest spots on a lot of different shows, just because people have been reaching out to me. So apparently, if you hear me and you want me to come talk on your show, or if you want to, I mean, hell, I'm an open-minded guy. Even if you don't have a show and you just want to bullshit with me, reach out to me. I'm willing to chat. I'm a friendly guy for the most part. And yeah, so since I'm kind of rambling, and like I said, this is going to be a shorter one, I'm going to wrap it up here now. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone is coming through, and now that the world's starting to maybe start to ease back into a semblance of normal, be safe, practice smartness. Don't put yourself into unnecessary risks. Don't put yourselves into harm's way. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Do better. Be good to each other. Don't be a fucking dick. And for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode of I Had to Say It. If you liked what you heard, leave a review, give us a follow, give me some feedback. And if you didn't like what you heard, leave a review, give me a follow, give me some feedback. I'll try and fix it. Check us out on all the social media platforms. At I Had to Say It podcast is the trigger for all that stuff, for the search term. And if you want, check out the website, www.ihadtosayitpodcast.com. There's links to people that have been involved with the program, things I've talked about. There are some links available for some merch that we're working on, and there are ways to contact us there as well. And thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.